Martha, welcome back to the Whitstable sessions. I believe you were one of the first people to play here.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
And when was that?
Oh gosh, now you're asking me dates.
Would it be in the time of Lucy and the Wolves album, or earlier than that?
Yes, it would have been Lucy and the Wolves. So
Right.
I think I just had my first one. I just had my first baby, I think.
So that was probably about 3 or 4 solo albums in, but before that you played in a duo called Mouse.
That's right, and Nick Marshall, who I played with, is here playing with us again, and that was Nick on stage in the soundcheck. Yeah, it's quite an amazing journey actually, because we met when I was doing a terrible recording project in London, basically.
Right.
It was kind of a chap picking me up in a gold Rolls Royce and making me sing in an American accent kind of thing, and I didn't know how to get out of it. You know, when sometimes you're stuck in a situation that you kind of don't write in, but you don't know how to get out of, and then I met Nick, and so we quietly got this acoustic duo going on the side, and you know, playing to at first no one. Anyway, it was a magical journey, and we kind of went off, basically ran away with the circus with a Small World stage, and just travelled around every year from May to September with this Bedouin tent, and just the most magical couple of years of my life really doing Mouse. And then we went our separate ways, and we haven't played together much for 10 years, and we've just started playing together again. It's funny, we're on the way up here on the 8-hour journey from Cornwall to here today, just talking about how time just seems to sort of go in circles, and things come back, you know. And
do you feel as if you picked up where you left off?
Yeah, but it feels more comfortable now. We're older and we've learnt more, and you know, it was always really magical until we got to I think the music industry got interested, and then we kind of didn't know how to deal with it really. We were quite sort of naive and young at the time, and picked up where I left off maybe, but also I think we're just wiser.
In your friendship and your musicianship.
Yeah, it's like having a brother back again. Yeah, it's amazing actually.
In hindsight, was working with Nick in Mouse a good sort of like foundation, springboard to a solo career? To
everything. Yeah, it really was. It really was. Yeah, it was the first time I ever experienced that feeling of being on stage and knowing that you're singing something that people identify with. Yeah. You know, so it kind of, before that I've always written songs, and I was an actress for a bit, but you're being someone else then. This is the first time I was like singing my diary essentially, and people going, oh, thank God someone, you know, I feel that, you know, that feeling when you watch someone and you kind of, you feel it too. So that was the first time I felt useful on stage, really, if I'm honest. You know, when you just feel like, okay, I'm better at this than being a receptionist. I should try this one. But then I spent 10 years playing with Matt Tweed, who was also a friend of ours, and he's here tonight as well, and he's just been my sort of right-hand man, really. And they're both friends with each other, so I kind of feel like I've been in the care of this lovely bunch of guys, just sort of looking after me and helping me through. I don't know how I get around the country and I do it all, but
Well, I wanted to ask you about Matt, because knowing I was going to speak with you this evening, I was listening to your last few albums, and I particularly noticed it with Lucy and the Wolves and Machines of Love and Grace, is, I don't know whether it's the right term to say, but there's a certain understated quality about the production. I know Matt was involved in co-producing those albums, which for me, I really like, because then you hone in on the lyrical quality of the songs. How does that partnership work with him? Do you feel vulnerable, or do you feel comforted by having someone like that guiding you in the studio?
Totally comforted. And we guide each other as well. I mean, he's got so much experience he produced a lot of bands. I mean, he's responsible. In fact, he records a lot around here as well. He's done the Co-Cost Lovers and lots of bands around this way, but all over the country. He's the kind of underground man who does the producing, especially for bands, I guess, who are being like a bit more environmental or questioning, you know, socially questioning, blah blah blah. You know, maybe aren't going to get on Jules Holland necessarily, but they're certainly doing their thing out there, and some beautiful music. So he's got just so much experience with producing, and I kind of didn't really want to work particularly with older chaps in the music industry, especially as a young female. I found it really hard to say no to stuff when I was younger, and I've never had that problem with Matt, because we're mates. But I feel like now I understand producing. He really listens to my opinion, because I understand now how I want my voice to sound. We're both on the same wavelength, that we don't want it to be overproduced. You know, we have this compression conversation every time but now I know what he's doing. It's so funny, the logic. So when he brings up the compression window, I'm like, you are putting a little bit on. But he's so clever, because it's the tiniest bit on that it's enough for Martha not to point it out. You know, and it works really, really well. And also my husband as well, Robin, does a bit of production, so he'll always do a couple of the tracks on each album. The more sort of trip poppy, sort of, you know, the more electronic ones towards the end of the album, like Architect or Let Them Glow, those kind of ones. Yeah, I don't know what to say with it. It just works really, really well.
In thinking of the most recent album, which was Machines of Love and Grace in 2012, lyrically the songs deal with capitalism, big business. I don't know whether it's the right way to say it, but a sort of willingness of acceptance of sort of like the lack of humanity. Do you consider yourself a political writer, or are you more an observational writer?
I think I've listened to. It was interesting. I was listening to the Folk Awards album on the way up here, and I listened to that Chris Wood song, "None the Wiser." Have you heard this song?
Yes, yeah.
Amazing. And I was thinking, he's not labelled as being a political singer. He's just writing about stuff. I should imagine he writes about love or his traditional songs. He'll write about things that are political with a small p when it gets you going, like I will, like anyone will. I just did go through a bit of an awakening stage of feeling like, hang on, especially as a woman, I feel like there's all these women in the world who really don't. They would just probably be really hoping that a Western woman who might want to question capitalism or the system, I don't even call it capitalism, I call it corporationism actually, but questioning the way that we're going. I'm not saying I have a good alternative answer, I really don't actually, I wish I did, but I don't. But I certainly feel like when I want to question it, I should, but I don't want to force myself to. So at the moment, the last album that we're doing at the moment, the one we're recording, is all about the sea, and it's folk songs about the sea, and I'm recording it with my family, and it's really fun, and it's nice to get away from the politics thing.
Yeah.
But automatically I'm thinking, all I want to do is write about mermaids' tears. We get them down in Cornwall, those little tiny bits of plastic that look like, they call them mermaids' tears down there. You know these?
No.
Basically, there's tiny little plastic, if you look on most of the sand, you sort of sift through with your fingers, and you'll find these little plastic, tiny little plastic spherical balls, and they're from the ocean, all the plastic that's just been washed down, and now we get them on beaches, and the kids call them mermaids' tears, and it's kind of heartbreaking, and so like straight away I'm like, is that political, or is that just, how can I be on this planet and not comment on these things?
Yeah.
But equally, I'm comfortable not commenting on them and just singing about love. But here's the thing, I don't think I'm political, I think I'm just singing and writing stuff. I think if I was to avoid politics with a small p, or social questioning because it's better for my market, because that way then, I don't know, whoever, I want bosses of corporations to buy my stuff as much as I want the receptionist or the Girl Friday or the person driving the sandwich van to buy it. I've worked for corporations, I work for a financial place, so it's not, I think we're all people and we all wave different flags, and it's just a product of our environment, and I don't have the right answers. But I think if I was to avoid questioning stuff so that I was more sellable, I feel that would be more political.
Yeah.
I think being apolitical is one of the most political things you can do. So I don't really want to write anything at the moment political, apart from this mermaid tears thing, but I've got no room on my album, so there we go.
Anyway, Martha, thanks very much for speaking to us this evening. All the very best for the new album when it comes out, and we hope to see you back here in Whitstable again.
Oh, thanks, that was lovely, thank you.
Thank you very much.